And it is the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome. Happy Friday as we enter into yet another week of what can only be termed as a dystopian delight. There's an interesting way to use an alliteration. It kind of works, but boy, it's still a little painful for most of us. By the way, we're also streaming right now on YouTube. You can simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube. That's CaryHarrison, Cary Harrison YouTube. Subscribe. That way we can stay connected when you show up at your destination. You simply switch over to the stream on your phone at the Cary Harrison YouTube channel. You can also easily find us at kpfk.net. Just go there, shortcut, kpfk.net. Well, the road to tyranny is not paved with the footsteps of villains alone. It's smoothed and widened by the well-meaning, by the hopeful, by those who, through some twist of history, some whisper of propaganda, become the unwitting accomplices of their own oppression. Let's take Germany, for instance, a nation that's battered. It was humiliated, economically crippled after the First World War. Its people, intelligent, cultured, deeply wounded. Well, Germany wanted nothing more than dignity, prosperity, and security. And so when a charismatic leader arrived, promising revival, promising strength, promising unity, he promised to make, literally, quote, Germany great again. Yep. He promised to make Germany great again. And they listened. Not because they were cruel, but because they believed in something better. They saw a man who spoke their grievances, who promised to shield them from the chaos of modernity, who swore that the enemy was not within, but without. And isn't that a comforting thought? The one that's suffering isn't one's own doing, but the result of an external force, be it a group or a race or a set of ideals that must be eliminated for the good of people. You know, it never begins with atrocities, does it? It always begins with small concessions. A newspaper is shut down because it spreads misinformation. A professor is dismissed because he has weakened the moral fabric of society. A neighbor is arrested because, well, he was always a bit suspicious, wasn't he? The well-meaning shrug, well, they tell themselves that these are necessary adjustments, temporary measures for the greater good. They believe it's their duty, their responsibility to uphold the fabric of their civilization, even as the very hands they trust are unweaving it thread by thread. But Germany isn't the only story now, is it? The same melody has played throughout history, different instruments, same tune. Let's take the Soviet farmer, desperate for land reform, gives his loyalty to a system that will later take his land and leave him starving. The Chinese intellectual, dreaming of a fairer society, kneels before a revolution that will devour him for thinking too much. The Venezuelan worker, weary of corruption, cheers for a leader who promises justice but delivers ruin. You see, authoritarianism rarely marches in with a snarl. It smiles, it jokes, it reassures, it promises solutions. It presents itself as a logical choice, the only choice. And the well-meaning among us, well, they welcome it. They're convinced that their ideals, justice, order, security, are finally within reach. They don't realize until it's too late that they have bartered their freedom for chains. The founding fathers, how many times did they say this? And in how many different ways? And how many of us can quote those? Maybe the cruelest irony of all is that when the truth becomes too evident to ignore, when the atrocities mount, when the brainwashing holds fast, the well-meaning become the defenders then of their own undoing because they're too proud. They're too frightened, too invested now to admit that they could have been wrong. So they double down, they justify, and they say, it wasn't supposed to be this way, but, well, what choice do we have now? And that's how the descent completes itself. Not with a single moment of surrender, but with 1,000 small nods of agreement. Not with an iron fist crashing down overnight, but with a slow, suffocating embrace. But let's not be naive. Some really don't march blindly into that abyss. Some people see exactly what is happening, as it is happening, but they welcome it. For them, authoritarianism isn't a tragic accident, but a golden opportunity. They're the ones who hear the rhetoric of exclusion and smile, because it ensures that power remains in hands that look like theirs. I'm talking about that 1% now, aren't I? They watch as the walls close in around the weak, the different, the inconvenient, and they breathe easier, knowing that the chaos of true equality will never touch them. They are self-aware, these architects of oppression. They know these official speeches about the new unity are a lie, that the scapegoats of today will be the corpses of tomorrow. But they don't care. They don't need to believe in the ideology as long as it serves them. The demagogue gives them permission, not just to rule, but to indulge, to discriminate, to erase. And in return, they prop him up. They protect him. They whisper in his ear what he already knows, that the illusion of order is best maintained when the privileged few get to write the rules and hoard the spoils. And so they toast to the suffering of others, justifying it as the natural order, the price of security, the reward of the deserving. Not misled, not brainwashed, just willing executioners of a world designed for them, and them alone. Now, the backbone of the completely invented red state, blue state divisions, completely contrived in a country still called the United States, but somehow not united, and for a good reason. States that are not united, even though they are, families who can't even visit each other on holidays because stabbing each other would somehow be more delicious than the turkey. Yet the same people watch the same shows on Netflix. They eat the same Krispy Kreme donuts. They drive on the same freeways. But when reminded that their own children are the enemy or that their cousins voted in a certain way, it's the Union versus the Confederacy again, without any actual reward for the victor. Parents who love their children, but who would actually blindly slaughter them with a carving knife if a manufactured topic arose. I speak of my own late father, by the way, who would be exactly that knife-wielding, self-justifying, blind rage guy holding on to his self-assessed power that he was told was his and his alone. Because guess what? I'm not like him. I don't think like him. I don't vote like him. And my friends sure as hell don't look like him. Mine come in many colors, shapes, sizes, and let's just say wider range of motion. Many of us are disenfranchised from our own families, aren't we? Not just in these recent times, but in the recent times leading up to this. With us, it's yet another daughter of parents who can turn like pit bulls at the silent ding of the propaganda bell. And you will see the beautiful face of our next guest. I'm not sure if she's there or not. And let me just check, because we are connecting here and there. I'm logged in, going upstairs for headphones, back in a few. Well, this is good to know. You're going to see the beautiful face of our next guest right now on YouTube at Cary Harrison YouTube channel. Simply Google YouTube Cary Harrison or go straight to kpfk.net. That's kpfk.net. With me right now is actress Jordan Roberts. She's also a writer, producer, and political activist. She studied journalism, film, and TV writing at UCLA, served on Women in Film's board of directors, among others, a professional voice actor, and is slated to star and produce in 2 dramatic features, Second Chances and Undeniable. Happens to be a daughter during these times when parents can often feel like foreign objects. Jordan Roberts, I want to welcome you to the Cary Harrison Files.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Cary. It's so great to be here. You know, you were talking about family and holidays. I have not been to a family holiday since 2014. So, because it was right after Trump got elected, in
The
15.
first
So,
time.
yeah. So, yeah, it's really a difficult thing, actually. I started filming a documentary called My Family Voted for Trump. God, right when it started, the day after he won, and there were people defending the Trump star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and then there were these Trump ladies guarding it. There was a Merry Christmas Trump, and I was really just trying to understand. And I really, at the time, felt like we just need to get the right information to everybody, the truth. And then, of course, it just got worse and worse. As we
I'm
can
glad you
talk
mentioned
about.
the truth because
Yeah.
this is where half the nation, and it is greater than half, 75% of us don't believe this. 30% of the people voted. That's it. And of those 30%, another 30%, the troglodytic, knuckle walking, hispidulite mountebanks, the ones that have put this guy in there. The rest of us, we get something is really wrong, but all of us didn't vote. I don't know how many. I can count them on all my hands and feet. And I have extra arms and legs here. You've seen me. I'm a human octopus. I work at the circus most days. I can count on all my fingers and toes the Gen Z folks who didn't vote because, well, it doesn't matter. Both candidates sucked. Okay, I think we can all agree. But if you don't do politics, it does you when you're not looking. It doesn't just vanish because you don't like it or care about it. All that to say, Jordan Roberts, I'm so glad you brought up this idea of underinformed voters or whatever we like to call them. That's polite. It sounds polite. Isn't that what we call Fox News watchers? They're under
Right.
low information. I mean, we would have called them something before a long time ago because you can't really low information voter. Like, what does that really mean? Well, it kind of means no. Let's just call it what it is. It's not lack of information. There was a study done called the Ypsilanti Jesuses. Don't you love the
From
name?
Michigan, Ypsilanti,
In
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Correct. A mental facility in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And in there were 7 different people that thought they were Jesus, as is often the case in maybe one of those institutions. Generally not 7, but this one had 7. And they did everything they could to figure out which one is the real Jesus or which one thinks he's the real Jesus if he's around 6 other Jesuses. At some point, many of them are going to lay down their thorn of crowns, right? Or crown of thorns. They're going to yield to the proper Jesus. At the end of the study, 100% of them still all thought they were Jesus and believed all 6 others were faking it. So it didn't matter how much they tried to convince them, didn't matter what they did, what drugs they gave them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a belief system, and the belief system was all they had. And when times get tough and people have nothing or feel that what they have is going to be taken away or stolen or the competitive landscape is going to actually become even, and you're going to have to show up to a really good looking Sidney Poitier in a Brooks Brothers suit, and you're there in your undershirt, missing teeth. Who do you think is going to get the gig? Not you.
Yeah.
This is bad. And this is why people vote this way.
Right. What I think that, my family doesn't understand, and a lot of Trump voters or MAGA voters don't understand, is that, the people on the other side, the people who want to protect our democracy, we're watching the news every day for almost a decade going, okay, is it going to happen now? Is Trump going to have to, are we going to get rid of him, or is he going to have to pay? Is there going to be justice? And we watch and we watch and we get more and more exhausted. And now more people are apathetic. And I believe that the 2 greatest threats to democracy are misinformation and apathy. And so we have that. And then we have my family and this my family. My dad is in his early 80s. My mom's in her 70s. And they're getting older, and I love them and they love me, but they support him. And so every single day that something bad happens, it's almost like I'm suffering a little bit from transference. So it's, oh, that happened. Mom and Dad, you did that to me. And I don't want to feel that, but they're not protecting me, and they don't want to hear anything that I talk about. And I'm pretty diplomatic. And so I think that the biggest, most painful thing with my family has been over the course of the 10 years, like what we're talking about misinformation. And if only mom knew. She was here and she was talking about Adam Schiff lied, and I said, Mom, look, I'm going to show you proof. And this is McCarthy, like, admitting. And she's like, okay, yeah, I see that. And then later on, Adam Schiff lied. She says this later, and so, but now what I'm understanding is that my parents, it's not about being misinformed anymore. They know they're
Yeah.
just fascists. And that
Yeah.
breaks my heart that they're fascists. They really believe this. And there's never been any movie in Nazi Germany. There was never any movie. I've never seen anything where you have a Nazi family, and then there's the people who don't support the Nazi movement within the family, and that dynamic of how, because that I couldn't even talk to them. And I don't have any former friends who are Trump MAGA people. They're all gone. The only people I have are my parents and my Uncle Chet, who's like my godfather. That's it.
We're talking right now to actress Jordan Roberts, also a writer, producer, political activist. She studied journalism, film, and TV writing at UCLA, served on Women in Film's board of directors, among others, a professional voice actor, slated to star and produce in two dramatic features, Second Chances and Undeniable. We're talking about what it's like to be a daughter, a child, an offspring during these times when many families are torn apart by invented politics. My father, who collected German war memorabilia, if you catch my drift, and my mother was a cross between Mommy Dearest and Cruella de Vil on a good day. They were absolutely, they would have loved this moment. They're both gone, but this is what they were working hard to get, because it's true. In America, you don't think that there's such a thing as fascism. We say the word fascism and people immediately think of World War II Germany. It sounds too complicated. Then it rolls in Godwin's law because maybe there's a Holocaust, why it could never happen here. And so fascism isn't the right word that fits. But it's just literally removing people's rights down to the point where there is no range of motion for 90% of people and 10% get all the range of motion. All the spoils, you go in, as we see right now, with a machete, just hacking up government to shreds. And I'm going to have a bit of a commentary on that in about 10 minutes from Dan Rather. Talk about bravely rising from the ashes during a time when his voice is needed. And you end up with a handful of people taking all the spoils. I mean, imagine if Richard Nixon had said, well, I'm just going to go and take, a chunk of Palestine off of Israel and just develop it into private hotels. I'm going to make the profit. I'm going to go take Greenland. And while I'm at it, Ukraine, I'm going to cut a deal with the former head of the KGB of the Soviet Union that we've been in a Cold War with for 35 years. And I'm just going to hand it over to him. In return, he's going to let me build hotels with my name on it all over the place, bring in corporations. I'm going to get a piece of the action, and we're just going to turn the entire planet into a mall. And we're going to have a new access. A third of it goes to China, a third of it goes to the United States, a third of it goes to Russia. Oh, wait a minute. We're the allies. Oh, but we're actually part of the access now. There are no allies. There's just one third, one third, one third. And we're all seeing this. Let me ask you this, Jordan Roberts. Do you think the rise of MAGA and similar movements has changed the way your parents see you as their daughter, or the way that you see them?
Well, my parents love me. They get little reports from their friends, from my Facebook and Instagram, of things I say, and they just say we love our daughter just the way she is. So they know that. I'm gay. They know that too. So I think, but they always say, "Oh, you need to be more than a one-issue voter." And I say, I could talk to you about 100 issues, because I can, and I do know the issues. They've not read Project 2025. They didn't watch any of the Mueller hearings, anything with that. They're mad at John McCain because Trump didn't like him. They used to love him. They wanted him to be president. They wanted Kasich. They wanted Romney in Florida. They wanted Rubio, and so, yeah, my parents, the MAGA movement, it's changed me because they're still supporting all of this. They know that my parents are pro-choice. My dad, when I was 14 years old, I wasn't even having sex, and he said, if you ever get pregnant, you come to me, you don't tell anybody, you don't ruin your reputation, and we will just take care of it. We lived in St. Louis, Missouri at the time. So that's, pretty insane. And my mom's pro-choice too. So whatever they're voting for doesn't reflect a lot of the things that they want for the world. My dad is like against Russia. My mom's screwed up by Fox now, and she thinks that Russia's bad. The whole thing with the gun violence and the guns in schools, they're completely. My dad thinks there should be regulations. My mom doesn't want him to take her guns. Yet she only like shot one animal and felt bad about it when she first got married. So I just don't get it. You get in these little cults on Fox. It's this pixie dust of this fascist Fox News.
Well, the part that isn't put in front of people, Jordan Roberts, is where is the money going? And goes back to Dickie Nixon, follow the money. And thanks to the Watergate investigations. But it's all about money. It's about literally violating the Nuremberg codes and just invading other countries, taking the stuff that's under their feet, displacing, who knows, 1.8 million people in one place. You go into Ukraine. How many tens of thousands are actually dead now to open up that territory? And once again, you can't not leave World War II out of this. What was the goal of the Third Reich? Ukraine. That was Lebensraum, or living room. Every German would get about 4 acres. They'd get a farm. Everyone would have so much room. And it's one of the 3 places on earth where you can grow crops all year around: Chile, California, and Ukraine. And what are we hearing now? Well, when this administration goes into Ukraine, they get to have trillions of dollars of untapped minerals sitting under the soil. So not only is it oil derricks, it's mining for precious metals, and none of it belongs to the people of Ukraine who've been there forever and ever and ever. So it's so basic. It's so almost deliciously transparent that it becomes oddly invisible at the same time. Cary Harrison with you. If you've abandoned Twitter, as many of us have, you can check me out at Blue Sky at Cary Harrison. You can also find Jordan Robertson, it turns out, there at Jordan Robertson at Blue Sky. Blue Sky is a giant new alternative to Twitter, owned by you-know-who, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. Blue Sky has a giant Canadian footprint, intense amounts of millions of people who have not drunk the Kool-Aid. So if you're looking for an online kumbaya, go check it out. That's at Cary Harrison on Blue Sky. We're also live streaming right now on YouTube. You can simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube and subscribe so we can stay connected. When you show up at your destination, switch over to the same live stream on your phone at Cary Harrison YouTube channel. You can also easily find it at kpfk.net, kpfk.net. We're talking to Jordan Roberts. She's an actress right here in LA who's dealing with not being able to deal with her family, which means things like Christmas, Thanksgiving, like normal times when we all get to go together. When you fly to the East Coast or whatever people do, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And it's all for this fantasy that one side seems to have. The other, I mean, I would say people who are not MAGA people, they're okay. They're just sort of dealing with a mastodon in the middle of the room. But the mastodon is not in the middle of the room of the non-MAGA people. It's just an extra obstacle you have to climb over, but it is not climbable, at least for the people that believe in that. Do you feel that, this is a subtle question, but do you feel that the political differences have changed the way that love is expressed between you and your family? And I would ask this of everyone else listening, because we're going to start taking calls. Do you feel that the political differences have changed the way that love is expressed or withheld within your family?
Yes, 100%. It is agonizing because my parents, I mean, I had such close relationship with them my whole life. And the thing that I'm the most upset about in the world, the thing that keeps me up at night, I can't talk to them about any of it. So every time we're talking, it's about this fake stuff it's like taking small little verticals of shit that doesn't really matter and having these conversations. And then
Cary, I hope you just caught that. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. And so then deep down, just heart just breaking, because it's like your adrenals are on overdrive, as you're like listening to whatever they're saying, but or whatever you're talking about. But deep down, you just feel like, God, they were the people who used to protect me as a kid. So it's hard.
Right. There's a second plot of the play going on right here. And unfortunately, they're going to do whatever they can to defend it because, as I pointed out earlier, certainly speaking for my father, this is his wet dream. He gets to be the white man. And the white man, at the end of the day, as has been said officially on Twitter and X, if you want something done right, have a white man do it. And they believe it. And they can believe it if they've achieved some sort of extraordinary thing as a white man. I'm sure your father is successful enough to do a personal syllogism, if P then Q. If it's me, then the outcome is Q. And that's right up at the very, that's the 1%. So it's sort of self-proving.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents are addicted to Fox News. And they even have this thing now. My mom was excited she got for Christmas called Fox Nation. I don't know if you know what that is. It's
Oh,
probably
yes.
from,
It's delightful.
yeah.
If I
And
need to be delighted, I go there for my delight. Yes.
right. Yeah. And, Zelensky, I mean, it's so bad. I mean, I love Blue Sky because I can really say what I want and nobody will troll me. But, I was thinking about how they're keeping Zelensky out of those conversations about the territory, and about the ceasefire with Putin and Trump and his administration. But it is seriously like a cabal of gluttonous gang rapists who are just trying to seize that land and create just terror and havoc on those poor citizens of Ukraine.
And as we ramp up here, Jordan Roberts, they're, just from the White House press conference yesterday, referring glibly to Canada as our next 51st state. It sounds funny, but let's say you're in Poland and Germany is standing next to you about to invade, which means everyone dies, by the way. You don't just annex. Putin did not annex Crimea silently by sending a post-it note. There was death and blood and carnage everywhere. Absolute destruction, took years to rebuild. When you annex, some people say no, especially if they're Canadians, which also means they're part of England, they're part of NATO. I mean, it's so complicated. But saying that from the White House press conference, keep referring to it as the 51st state, what that does is it wears us down as Americans to start to actually believe in advance that it's the 51st state and we're just going to go get what's ours. This is the nature of propaganda. I want to thank you so much, Jordan Roberts. You're also coming up with a couple of cool films that you actually produced too, which we're now seeing many people of talent are producing, projects themselves because it's the best way to get it out. Give us the quick 30-second upload on Second Chances and Undeniable.
Well, Second Chances really, what I try to do is poke open up so everybody can see like something socially impactful, try to change collective consciousness. So in that one, it's basically tackling LGBTQ bigotry and then also guns. And what's great about this film is it actually shows a good side about having the right to bear arms because the family saves someone's life, but it also shows how the person who got the gun, because it takes place over a Thanksgiving weekend in a lockdown in a grocery store, there's a mass shooter, and the shooter in Michigan, you can get a AK whatever at when you're 18 years old. So it shows about how we need to fix the laws yet. So Gabby Gifford's nonprofit is my charity partner with that movie. So I'm really excited to be able to put that out there. And then Undeniable, it's a plane goes down in the Michigan woods. These are all going to be shot in Canada. And for survivors, it's two adults and two special needs mentally challenged children. And so the adults, I'm going to play one of them. I'm hoping to get Amy Brenneman to do the other part. But one of us is blind. One of us has a really bad leg injury. Turns out that as we're trying to find our way out of this wilderness, the young people do understand about tagging because we were going in circles. So they start to understand that. Well, I'm blind. The person with the leg, injury is passed out. So we fall asleep when we took a break and I get up and the kids are gone. And it really is a movie about how we write these people off, these young mentally challenged people off, but it's really about how they save these women's lives by finding safety. So it's like a film that not only breaks your heart, but it'll make it sing with knowing that people are undeniable. No matter who you are, you have this ability to be a hero.
Right, right. Content that is absolutely wiped out of the history books as of today. The Gulf of Mexico, which is now called the Gulf of America, although the Mexicans want to call the United States of America, Mexico America. The French are now talking about Nouvelle America or Nouvelle France for the entire United States of America. They want to take back many of their French districts like Louisiana, despite the purchase, since we can break treaties and deals, they feel so can they too. So the word wars turn into real ones at some point if people aren't paying attention. And I appreciate you coming on as an actress, coming on as an artist, and also pointing out your own personal situation, because people often think, well, they don't have these problems. They're in the business. Well, it hurts just as much not being able to go home to Thanksgiving, and you'd probably trade a role just to be able to go home for Thanksgiving and hug your mother. Like, that's just what live humans
If it was like the old days, otherwise I'll take any role to not have to be there right now.
And then there's that too.
Even bad ones.
Thank you so much. Actress Jordan Roberts, also writer, producer, political activist, studied journalism, film, and TV writing at UCLA, served on Women in Film's board of directors, among others, professional voice actor, slated to star and produce in 2 dramatic features. We've been talking about what it's like to be a daughter during these times when many families are torn apart by invented politics. Cary Harris with you. We're going to pause for a quick moment, give some love to your favorite radio station here, and reminding you we're also live streaming right now on YouTube. You can simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube, CaryHarrison. Subscribe so we can stay connected when you show up at your destination. Then simply switch over to the stream on your phone at the Cary Harrison YouTube channel, which you can easily find at kpfk.net. That's kpfk.net. And if you've abandoned Twitter, as many of us have, you can check me out at Blue Sky at Cary Harrison. Blue Sky, the giant new alternative to Twitter that has this big Canadian footprint. Lots of millions of people who have not drunk the Kool-Aid. So make sure you join us there. Well, coming up, we're going to open up the phones at 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. That's 818-985-5735. That's option 1 to get on the air. We're going to explore together what has happened in just the past 4 weeks, and your prediction of things to come.
Here's an important message from the U.S. Med Diabetes Solution Center. If you have diabetes, you know the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce your pain right away. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. So call us right now to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. U.S. Med. Better service. Better care.
Hello, just like the old days in 1932 when I was only 50 years old. Yep, old-timey radio with a modern twist, complete with retired Union Foley operators and authentic vacuum tube audio processors. Gather around the wireless, plop your ass onto the Davenport, light up a Chesterfield, grab your loved one, not there. It's time for Uncle Harry's Big News Story Time. In today's live reenactment, we tackle a current news issue and retell it the way it probably happened, or more perversely, could have happened. This week it's Harry.
Well, it's not just Indiana. California's Attorney General has now stepped in to quash one of those statewide ballot initiatives that allows anyone to propose a law with just $200 and enough lunatics to sign a petition. The new Sodomite Suppression Act would allow Californians to assassinate random gays under a special death penalty provision. And just think, a mere accusation could be terminal, especially for any closeted golfing buddies at California's many country clubs.
You know, we should donate even more money. The Sodomite Suppression Act is going to clean up this county. Cheers.
Hi, welcome to the club. I'm Bruce. I'll be your server today.
Chad, would you like to order first?
Yes, certainly.
We have salmon, salted sea snails, and a salad niçoise.
Jesus, I think someone just hit a high C.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to take a whiff. Would you like to join me in the men's room?
Why, certainly.
Grab your martini. Here we are.
Oh, drat this zipper. Oh,
Hold your drink.
oh, let me get
Hold
you.
my drink.
I will.
I'll help you pull that out. There we go.
Hello? Sirs?
Yes.
Your entrees are ready.
We'll be right out.
I'm coming in. Oh my goodness. Your naughty parts are in his hand.
Well, I doesn't mean a damn thing.
Good heavens! Sodomites! Sodomites! Goodness! I have to get out my Smith & Wesson. Clean up in the bedroom! Sodomites!
And of course, these lawmakers had to find a way to work in the Second Amendment to fight sodomy.
Cary Harrison.
And there's your reality bite.
This is the Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
And it is the Cary Harrison Files. Don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter at CaryHarrison.com. CaryHarrison.com. There you're going to get a transcript of the entire show, plus access to clips and stuff we simply, definitely nowadays absolutely cannot do on the radio. We're going to go to Gerald and G in just a second on the phones. Our free newsletter is the best way to stay in touch with us, plus get all kinds of cool stuff, including a letter from the current administration directly to the media, warning them about what they can say and what they can't. So here we are. We're already there. I'm also reminding you that we're live streaming right now on YouTube. You can simply Google Cary Harrison YouTube and subscribe so we can stay connected when you show up at your destination. You can switch over to the stream on your phone at the Cary Harrison YouTube channel, which you can also easily find at kpfk.net. That's kpfk.net. Well, phones are open at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Simply hit option 1 to get on the air at 818-985-KPFK. I'm going to get into something that Dan Rather wrote in just a minute, but let's first go to the phones and say hi to Gerald in Los Angeles. You're on the Cary Harrison Files.
Hey,
Hello,
Cary.
Gerald.
Hi, you're one of my favorite programmers, along with Tom and Amy Goodman and Ian Masters. But I had a quick comment and a prediction. I heard a comment the other day, it may have been on KPFK, I'm not sure, that Donald Trump was the perfect blend of brutal and stupid. And I think that that's true in the broadest sense and in the most detailed sense. I did change that slightly to say vicious and stupid, because he is always vicious, not necessarily always brutal, but I think vicious and stupid is the best. And my prediction is that if in the next 6 months, if people get too, quote, out of control, unquote, whatever that's going to mean, then our president will declare martial law, and that'll pretty much be it. And that's my prediction within the next 6 months.
I appreciate it, my friend. Grim and dour as it is, not unrealistic. Thank you so much, Gerald. Very much appreciate your call. Yeah, one thing about the current sitting president, and I dare not say his name for the reasons you're going to see when you sign up for our newsletter, and you're going to see with your own eyes what the new Justice Department is sending all media for saying anything and what the punishment is. It's becoming a crime. It's one thing to have a political leader who actually has an end game, like the plot of the play. Some of them are just social climbers. I think with the Red Lobster, he's just a social climber. Any ladder that takes him up to riches, wealth, power, being invited to a dinner table, being loved, being adored, being adulated. It doesn't matter what ladder. It's just a social climbing ladder. There's no, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm this, I'm that. I'm nothing. Whatever ladder takes me to the moon and surrounds me with rich people that will love me and have my back, I'm going to climb that ladder. So in some way, that's good because it's like a mafia boss. You know, if you're going to give me 40 more garbage trucks to run the garbage service for the city of New York or Chicago, and you've got all the aldermen in your pocket, I love garbage. There it is. It's pretty simple. So stuff can change. I guess we're just going to have to see where that goes. And by the way, please be mindful not to make any kind of even veiled threats against any of the folks in power because they will come after you. That's going to be in the letter you're going to see in the newsletter when you sign up at CaryHarrison.com. It is beyond chilling. It is 1934 Germany. So don't be dumb. You may feel a certain way, but keep that to yourself. I hate to say it in a bar, say it where you're at the gym, punch a bag, but be wise and protect yourself. Let's go next to G in Glendale. You're on the Cary Harrison Files.
Mr. Cary Harrison, I've been trying to call you for months. I got to speed round this. Great. I'm going to compliment you and give you criticism as far as you did a great job covering the fires. I'm glad you're helping out Monday nights on IMRU. I got some opinions on that. But before I get to that, for today, I tried the KPFK net. It said it didn't work. Even I punched in Cary Harrison. I had to go to YouTube. It even said it was a dangerous website. As for today, your guest, I'm sorry about you, Cary Harrison, and Miss Jordan and your family situation. Rest in peace to your parents. Miss Jordan, I'm sorry about it. I'm glad she's staying strong and not dealing with her. But abortion is not a left-wing issue. It's a right-wing issue. Abortion is not good. Margaret Sanger, Bill Gates' daddy, Bill Gates, they're eugenicists. They're not good. As for Adam Schiff, I invite your great caller, Mr. Cary Harrison, a great caller for the past 45 years to talk radio, callers from Carson to let us know who Adam Schiff really is. As far as Dan Rather, him and his daddy Cronkite helped to cover up the JFK assassination and help out the Dulles sisters. Now to our Russian brothers and sisters and Palestinian and Jewish brothers and sisters in Russia. Rest in peace with the Ukrainian fascists are killing you, even though Hollywood, the liberals love them. And to the previous caller, Gerald, Cary Harrison is great, but Tom Hardman and Ian Masters are your basic Newman, McQueen, Roosevelt, liberal, European supremacist Zionists. Now, Mr. Cary Harrison, you did a great show on the covering the fires, and Mitch Jesuit had you on, and you had Brother Sylvester on. I just have one little critique.
Just one. After all of that.
Your last caller, but you kind of disrespected our guest, the head of the WBAI and his fire chief when you said we're not talking about 911 today. I thought they did a great job tying in 911 and the bad air to the fires in Malibu. But you did a great job on that. And as for IMRU, I'm glad you're helping out. But if you could do something I told our fearless leader, Mr. Michael Novick, when he brought Out FM from New York onto KPFK airwaves, which unfortunately the buzz took him off. If you could do a lot of more men on the street and tie in the gay and transsexual with the protest on the street of LA, just like Out FM does on the streets of New York with Palestine and Haiti and all.
I'm going to jump in, G. Listen, I love your call. I love you. You've given me 78 things to look at, so I'll try to get to like 20. But I really appreciate your call. Love your energy. Love your passion. You are what we would call a P1 listener in the radio world. P1s are the ones that are there 24/7. P2s, they listen now and then. P3s, they listen to A show. P4s, we don't know. But you're a P1. That's good. You get a gold star and appreciate very much your call. Let's go next to at 818-985-KPFK. Those are your Harrison hotlines. 818-985-5735. We're going to go to Bill in Santa Monica. You're on the Cary Harrison Files.
Oh, Cary.
Hey, Bill.
I have two comments. First, about the reporters. Last week, when Trump or Doge fired all of the nuclear workers, and then they tried to hire them back the next day, no reporter asked him. We knew he fired them, but no reporter stuck to the question and asked him, why did you fire those people? Are you just firing people because, and you don't know who you're firing? And he answered, when Jay asked why were they fired, she let him get away with, well, that's what I said I was going to do. and then him rambled on about some other BS. But no reporter, I don't know if they're all afraid of him. I mean, the man is a moron. What you have to be afraid of, I have no idea. Secondly, this is something no one discusses. But with his eating habits, his lack of sleep, his basic unhealthy lifestyle, if he drops dead from eating a hamburger, that's one thing. But if he finds out that he has a terminal disease, and after listening to 88 doctors, he finally realizes that I do have lung cancer or brain cancer, I think the world is in grave danger, because his personality and what he is and how evil he is, he will not go out alone. He will cause a conflagration in this world that will take millions and millions of people with him. He will not die quietly in his bed. He will start something with China or with someone else, and he'll take as many people as he can with him. I guarantee you that. And I don't know what, but people expect he's going to live forever. He's not. That's
an excellent assessment, Bill. And I'm just going to, I know it sounds weird, but when you see this letter from the Justice Department saying what happens if anyone says anything unkind using media, what the punishment is, and I don't want you to fall in that category, my friend. I totally get what you're saying, and I really appreciate the bravery of you having shared that concept with us. Thank you so much for your call. Very much appreciate it. That opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. And if you think I'm kidding, get the free newsletter at CaryHarrison.com, and we're going to post an actual letter that was just sent to CNN because of somebody they had interviewed had said something that looked like not a long lifespan for somebody there. And they are being assaulted in the most direct way. And good luck, you versus this current government. So it is a cautionary warning. Here's what happens if you say anything unkind. This is one of the things that I was talking about earlier. It has already happened. You don't want to fall into that. You're going to have to take a page from Jonathan Swift, who wrote Gulliver's Travels, not a children's book. Gulliver's Travels was about the King of England, wasn't it? Written by an Irishman who also gave us essays on man. I mean, this is highfalutin stuff. But Gulliver's Travels was a way to satirize the king with Brobdingnagians, giant people and Lilliputians, little people, all of that were ways to talk about the crown. I think we're back to that. We're going to have to be smarter and much less direct if we're going to talk about the issues of the day. We did see this in Germany. We saw this in the Soviet Union. We saw this in Poland. We see this in China. We see it everywhere. People have to find ways to say stuff so they don't get clobbered or their neighbors don't get clobbered. In just a second, we're going to pause. We're going to give a little love to KPFK. Gary Baca is going to join me. I'm just going to read a real quickie from Dan Rather, who I mentioned earlier. He wrote that and I'm just going to refer to him as the Red Lobster. The Red Lobster's approval rating is below the start of term rating for any president. Support among groups that have helped get him elected, young voters, Latino voters, and black voters has dropped substantially. A majority of respondents say that our system of checks and balances is not working well. No kidding, says Rather. While Trump and Musk are preaching to the MAGA choir, it seems the rest of the congregation isn't buying the sermon. Mr. T came in with a blowtorch, scorching the civil service as he went. His arbitrary cuts and firings are popular with his base. Yes, arbitrary, right? But anger and confusion are mounting as he cedes power to the wealthiest men in the world to do his dirty work. Tommy Tesla's Department of Government Efficiency, I made that little one up, Doge, which was created out of thin air and a stroke of the lobster's pen, has no official role, and none of its employees have been vetted or confirmed by Congress. Well, sounds pretty good for a government to me. Dan Rather continues, not with that snide patina, but he does say it does have a directive from the president, cut trillions in waste and fraud from the federal government. To do so, Tommy Tesla has used a machete rather than a scalpel to make indiscriminate cuts that will quickly affect every single person in this country, and not in a good way. In fact, Doge has had to reduce the slated cuts savings by $8 billion because of a clerical error. Do you think the person who made that multi-billion-dollar error will get fired? Good question. Dan. Twitter is also suggesting a $5,000 check be sent to every American household as a refund for deleting necessary services. And that's a tiny fraction of all this money. It's nothing. It's like paying off one credit card for 1 month. And if you took that money, it's saying to the American people, here's some one-time cash in your pocket in exchange for no more funding to fix the roof of your kid's school, to rebuild your home after a hurricane, or for scientists to ensure your food is safe. Dan Rather, which I posted on our Substack page.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now